Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. Get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked.
Hello and welcome everybody to Men, Sex, and Tantra with Tanya Diamond and Michael Author. So today we're going to be talking about help. I come too soon.
Oh no.
So this is for all you men or women who love them, who ejaculate during intercourse before it is desired.
Okay, well, I'm glad you qualified that. Ejaculate during intercourse before you desire, because since a man is literally designed to go from erect to ejaculation in 90 seconds, I figure any man that can get his pants off and enter a woman and stay there for a moment or two is already not premature.
So pat yourself on the back. Congratulations.
Absolutely. So yes, you are not premature ejaculating if you are having intercourse for at least 90 seconds.
Okay, Tanya. So I'm sure that's helpful to some men who want to feel better about themselves, but what if they want to last longer?
Yeah, well, that's a whole different topic, right? So controlling how long you want to last versus are you premature? Labels hurt, so that's why I say that. I always preface it with, you're not premature if you're actually lasting the average, which is 3 to 5 minutes. So the average intercourse lasts 3 to 5 minutes. If you are doing that, you are within the average. If you can't get your pants off before ejaculating, then I would call that premature ejaculation. So
Okay.
Now what? Now you want to last longer than average.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I've got my own thoughts on this, right? I do a whole program on it with Destin. So, but for you, if a man came to you and said that, aside from what you just said, how would you encourage him to develop more stamina?
Yeah. So, once again, we've talked about this. A lot of education looks like porn, and the dudes in porn look like they last forever, which of course we know they don't, because most of them aren't even really erect most of the time. So they're not close to worrying about ejaculating in any of these instances till there are. So this is a big thing that probably the number one topic that most men first contact me about is the whole, Tantra and lasting longer for sex, Tantra, ejaculation mastery, and these types of things. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to last longer and developing the ability to do that. And it is totally doable. I've taught thousands of men how to do this. And the first question I always ask is, why? Because many men are misguided in thinking that if they last long enough, whatever that is, that the woman will finally have an orgasm through intercourse. And so their hope is lasting longer means that their woman has an orgasm through intercourse. 87% of women never orgasm through intercourse, no matter how long you last. And in fact, if you last too long, you're drying her out, everybody's getting pained, and it's not a happy thing. So, number one, don't do the techniques that are about distracting. You don't want to be distracted longer, because the part that women love the most in intercourse is when you're at a 9.9 of inevitability. You are rock hard at that 9.9, meaning 10 is orgasm, ejaculation. You're at a 9.9. That's the part she actually wants to last for 20 minutes. Because if you're in that kind of space, you are 100% focused. All that energy right there in your cock, right there, that moment, that's when it peaks her arousal the highest. So if you want to last, it's not just about na-na-na-na-na-na, sawing back and forth, blah, 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 blah. That's boring. And if you're disconnecting, thinking about your grandma, thinking about building a bridge, whatever, to distract yourself, you're not present, and we don't want that to last long at all. We want that to be over with as soon as possible. The exception, women that are numb inside. Women that are numb inside want to be banged long and hard because they can't feel anything. So, that's not about you, that's about them. So those are kind of all the pieces of like, why would you want to last longer? What are you trying to achieve? and the fact that we really want you to last in that intensity for 20 minutes, and you're thinking, how the hell do I do that? I'm going to let Michael talk a while because I know how to tell you how to do that. But what do you think about all this, Michael?
I generally think that you're accurate about that, is that it's not just about lasting longer in general, being able to, dissociate and then just be there. That's not desirable. What's desirable is to draw out the more pleasurable parts of the sexual experience longer. But I would say that this is coming from only one perspective, which is one that I actually try to help people get out of, which is that the purpose of sex is to achieve greater, sexual orgasmic pleasure and have it last longer, and reach higher states and this, that, and the other thing. And if that's the attitude that you're bringing to sex, I'm going to tell you that you are actually going to be less likely to experience that thing that you want.
Indeed.
Right? Because, if you think about it, sex is about so much more than just that state of orgasmic pleasure. It's about the connection that you experience with your partner. It's about laughing and being silly and trying new things and, taking breaks and connecting and making food and feeding each other. And, all this whole host of things that is surrounding and involved in the sexual experience that has nothing to do with the moments when your penis is inside somebody. So, I would say that in order to really achieve that state, the very first thing is to decondition that purpose of why you're having sex. Now, that being said, once you actually do that work of deconditioning, then you can actually go and focus on some of the techniques of mastery, right? Which I believe that you have an idea of how you might do that.
Yeah, absolutely. The number one reason that you may come sooner than you want would be anxiety, and performance anxiety being the top number one of that. So there's mental anxiety, right? And then there's physical tension. So the more physical tension you have, the sooner you're going to ejaculate. The more emotional tension you have, the sooner as well.
Can we pause on that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this one is the biggest one that I see men come to me and they're totally unaware of. They'll say, I come too soon. And I'm like, oh, okay. How long have you experienced this? Is it just with one partner? They're like, it's just with this partner. Mm-hmm. I've never experienced it before. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, okay, tell me a bit about this relationship. And they tell me about the relationship, and it's like this horribly unsafe emotional mess. Right. And I'm like, dude, you realize the issue is with the relationship and the fact that you don't feel safe and not with your dick, right?
Yeah. And they're like, what? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or the other side of that was my last partner. I remember the first time we were going to have sex, he kind of like slid up beside me and he goes, so, hey, and I'm like, hello. And he goes, so I just want to let you know that this is probably going to be over really quick. And I'm like, what? Because he was all this, Tantra master, whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, we'll talk about it later, but I just wanted to let you know. And I'm like, oh, all right. I don't have any expectation here, but apparently he does. And it was really quick. And I heard later that he was so intimidated about having sex with me that basically that anxiety was so high that boom. Mm. And this guy usually lasted hours for people. And so he knew himself well enough, I guess, to know that his anxiety level was that high, and his intimidation or whatever it was, or his wanting to please me, whatever it was he had, did not make that. So there's the other thing where you've got too much riding on something, which is also performance anxiety and that. Yeah. So what else is there that can happen? Pressure at work, just general stress in life. Mm-hmm.
General stress in life. The number one thing that causes it, I believe, is worrying about coming too soon.
Cycle right there.
It is. It tends to be a self-reinforcing cycle, and once you get in it, and then it may even be to the point where some men will not even approach a woman.
Right. No, I know plenty of those men. Yep.
they psych themselves out and are so terrified of having to apologize for coming too soon that they don't even talk to a woman, much less get into a sexual situation where that might happen. And when they're in that sexual situation, then it happens, and then it reinforces the fear about not wanting to do it again.
Right. And from a woman's perspective, when that happens and a man apologizes, first of all, most of us are like, oh no, okay, that was fine. I don't know what he's apologizing for here, but okay. And then we get awkward because you're awkward. And then your awkwardness makes me, us more awkward. And then it's really awkward. And then nobody really knows what to do from there. Like, she could say, no, it's fine. It's okay. Which makes you feel like it could make you feel worse or whatever. But then there becomes this, yes, now that story is going to play out. Each one of you is thinking the next time you do this, what's going to happen? And it becomes all about that, which bad cycle to be in, right? So what's another thing that can happen is the way you masturbate can actually be not great for the way you have sex.
Right. Yeah. So for example, if you are using porn to masturbate and you have a ritual where you every day, pull up your browser, put something in, your consciousness is out here, you're not really paying attention, you're just and then within 90 seconds, right, it's like boom, you're ejaculating. What you're doing is you're training your body to respond in that way. Yeah. So then when you are with a woman and you experience even higher amounts of stimulation than you would from pornography, then you're going to come even that much quicker.
Yep. Or the way you actually manually, the way you actually hold yourself, the way you actually stroke yourself. If you're used to a more dry hand and you don't touch the head of your penis and you stroke that way, as soon as you enter a woman that's wet, warm, and different, that could be more stimulating and therefore, definitely get you there faster. So there's obviously there's a whole bunch of things. When I'm teaching, man, the first thing I work on is the anxiety performance type of thing. The first thing I do is educate them that you're probably not premature, you're average. So that, let's just take that out of the way right away. And then second of all, I know, right? And then second of all, okay, so you want to learn how to last how you desire to last. So you want to have some more control or management over your arousal, over your timing and stuff like that. And that, you can find stuff all over the internet about that, techniques, and most of you have tried those, and most of them have failed. And the reason they fail is a lot of them don't address the foundations of your nervous system and how you have to fix that. And then your physical body and the tension, because if you're doing a lot of Kegels, you're actually probably priming yourself for premature, being faster than you want. Why? The more tense your pelvic floor muscles are, the more primed they're ready for that last ejaculatory pulse. So there's a way to relax. And then if you're using the push method, meaning that you're pushing up in your perineum to stop the ejaculation, what you're doing is having the ejaculation, but you're retrograding it into your bladder. But it's still happening.
And it can be very painful.
Well, I don't. That's a Taoist method that I don't condone because, there's ways. There are much better ways to do that than. Yeah,
absolutely. And functionally, the path of achieving ejaculatory choice, which Dustin and I train men on. If you're interested, head to evolvedmasculine.com. We do it every so often. But what we do is we help people connect more deeply with their own bodies, right? Yeah. Because when you are in full awareness of everything that's going on in your body, including your pelvic floor, but also the rest of your body, when your consciousness is distributed, right, throughout your body, you're able to move the energy that builds within you, and you're able to circulate it so that it doesn't reach the point where you're like, I must ejaculate, and you're able to like draw it up and move it around your whole body instead of just like
Yep.
Right? Like where it's just like there's a buildup of tension and then a directed focus outwards. It's like while you're cultivating sexual pleasure, it helps to be able to maintain awareness of the rest of you and have tools to move that energy around the body. So that's what we train men in. It's not something that you can just easily say, oh, I'm going to do it today, right?
No.
But it is It's something that takes you a few months to integrate
Yeah.
if you're diligent.
Yeah, because you're bypassing the primal urge, and the primal mechanism that's at work is there for a reason. You were supposed to be able to copulate and not be killed off by a predator or somebody else quickly. So I'm just letting every man know that if you ejaculate soon, there's nothing wrong with that. That is your biology. So the first thing is to let go of shame, guilt, whatever, even around all that labeling, because it's just right for you. Your timing is, if it's over 90 seconds, you've already got some mastery. And how you masturbate starts your training, the how you masturbate, where you masturbate, how you train your body. And then the cool thing is, and I don't know if you guys teach this too, but is learning the difference between, of course, orgasm, and I'm sure you do, orgasm and ejaculation, and the fact that you have an orgasm contraction number somewhere between 18 and 35 before the final different nervous system muscular pulse, which is ejaculation. So when you learn these things, which takes body awareness, which was what Michael was talking about, when you learn these things, you start to be aware of your body. You start to master what's happening in your body, and you can make those choices then and still stay in high arousal, because learning how to do this without high arousal is boring for everybody. So don't do those methods, the distraction method or whatever. Don't distract longer, last longer. And so you know that Michael and Destin have stuff going on. I have stuff going on. There's plenty of things to find out. I don't know if you guys do group or individual coaching or have a
Group
program.
mostly.
Okay, so they do group coaching. I actually have products that you can buy on your own with some coaching involved. But there are ways to do this in the right way that are about really, and you'll feel better. You'll feel more. I mean, the part of that is that you as a man won't just last longer. You'll feel more. It'll more pleasure, right? And I'm not.
Yeah, more pleasure. And I mean, the way I like to say it is it positively impacts the entirety of the rest of your life as well.
Yes.
I like to think of, this like neo-tantra or these sexual practices as kind of a carrot that leads you to a form of enlightenment, right? And it happens to be that there's a very good reason why you would want to cultivate it. But it ultimately it will help you in the bedroom, but the positive effects of it radiate outwards far beyond there.
Yeah. And if we talk about, and on another episode, we can actually talk about the difference between ejaculation and orgasm and why you might want to do that. If that's a foreign concept to you right now, that's okay. It's 100% true. It's not voodoo. It's a real thing. And we will talk about why you might want to actually do that. So for now, you're probably not premature. What you are is just not trained to do something different. I'm going to leave you with that lovely thing. Cool? Awesome.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. See you soon.